So today we got a question from Bobby who's curious about my thoughts on wearing a protective cup for his junk during jiu-jitsu training. He says that he imagines a cup can be used for a fulcrum to, use an armbar or to use with an armbar, which would make the armbars more dangerous. But he also sort of understands that getting blasted in the gonads, as he says, by a knee slice pass can be pretty dangerous too. And so he's wondering what my thoughts and experience are with cups in jiu-jitsu. So, Bobby, thank you for the question, brother. And to be honest with you, I don't wear cups, never really have. The only time I wore a cup in my grappling experience, because I got started back in 2000 in wrestling and then jiu-jitsu in 2003 and all that stuff, the only time I ever wore a cup was centered around fighting. Because obviously in MMA fights, you got to wear a cup. And so I would have to put that thing on because when you wear a cup and you're not used to it, it's different. Like again, you get used to like the space there, and again, it's just different. It feels a little different, and getting used to wearing cups is a little bit different. So I would put it on about 8 weeks out before the fight, would fight, and then as soon as the fight was over, I'd take that damn thing off because I just didn't like it. And again, you get pretty good over the years from training. You get pretty good at like understanding space and being very sensitive to that area. And likewise, I don't think that it's never really explicitly said, but every guy that rolls with another guy kind of understands the unwritten rule, like you watch your training partner's junk, right? We try not to like hit that area. That's like a bro for bro. Like we try to be mindful of that area for each other because it's not fun, right? And so just keep that in mind, like with what I'm about to tell you. I've never really been a big fan of them. I don't like wearing them that much. But that said, when I did wear them in fights, originally when I first started fighting back in 2006, there really weren't a lot of options back then. So I remember I would go to like the sporting goods store and I would just get like a shock doctor, I think, cup, and I'd put that sucker on. This is a completely tangential story, but it's kind of disgusting, but it's funny. I remember like we had a guy that used to fight with like my old team that I was with at the time, and the dude was just, fighters sometimes are just crazy anyway, but he'd come up to fights and not have his mouthpiece, not have anything with him, just not have all the normal stuff that you need to fight. It's crazy, right? And I remember like one night we were fighting back-to-back title fights. He had a title fight, and then I had a title fight right after him. He didn't have his cup, but he had like the little strap. So like I remember gave him my cup, and he put it in his jock. He went out there and fought. Won his fight. Comes out, and as I'm like walking out to my music, he hands me this like nasty sweaty cup. I have to shove it in there. It's disgusting. I didn't get anything from it, luckily. Anyway. Tangential story over. If you're going to wear a cup, a couple things to consider. The diamond cup is probably the best one I wore back in the day. They may have different ones, but the diamond one was one that I actually thought was pretty good. It was a good product. I'll put the link down below if you want to check one out. It felt good. It felt very like nice and like sort of, I could maneuver with it pretty well back then. And if you train with one, if you decide to compete at some point, be mindful of the tournament rules. A lot of competitions don't allow cups, precisely for the reason that you mentioned in your message, because you can use it as an added fulcrum. You can drive it into people's like spine or face and stuff like that, which can create a lot of pain and even possibly injure them in some particular instances. And so a lot of times cups are not legal in competitions, not always, but a lot of them. And so if you do decide to compete, check the rules, because you'll probably want to have you'll kind of have to do the reverse of what I did with fighting. You'll probably want to take about 6 to 8 weeks to grapple without that cup. So this way you get used to the space between your legs and be a little bit more sensitive to it. Because again, if you play with a cup and do jiu-jitsu with a cup, it's a little bit different without it, because you have to be a little bit more mindful of that space. And so you don't want to take it off the day of the competition and then drive into someone and get your shin, their shin driving into your junk, right? So take it off about 6 to 8 weeks. And then also in the gym, just be mindful of etiquette purposes. If you wear a cup, for the exact same reasons I said before, be mindful when you're going for an armbar, because you will have a little bit of added power to add into that armbar. Just be mindful of it. Slow it down just a bit as you're getting comfortable with sort of the feeling of that cup. Also, try not to like use it as a pain technique to drive into someone's spine or their eye socket if you get into north-south. Just be mindful that you have a piece of plastic or metal like right attached to you that you can drive into someone, and try not to do it too often, because again, it's just they may not have one, and again, it's just that's not what we want to do anyway. It'll just piss your training partners off and you'll have less people to train with. Just my thoughts. So yeah, that's my ideas on cups. Wear them if you want to. I don't care. I have guys that wear them in my gym. Most of us don't, but again, if you want to wear one because you've been getting blasted in the gonads, put it on, and but keep those things in mind, and hopefully that's helpful to you, Bobby. Thanks for the question, brother.